Today we will be doing a quick walkthrough on ISO 14001-2015 Environmental Management System and its main clauses. Let's get started. ISO 14001-2015 Environmental Management System is globally recognized standard for environment management systems, or EMS. An EMS is a framework that organizations can use to manage their environmental impact, comply with regulations, and improve their environmental performance. The standard outlines our requirements for an EMS, including the development of an environmental policy, the identification of environmental aspects and impacts, the establishment of objectives and targets, the implementation of operational control, monitoring and measurement systems, and the ongoing review and improvement of the systems. ISO 14001 is a flexible standard that can be used by organizations of any size or type, regardless of their environmental impact or level of environment performance. It provides a practical framework for organizations to manage their environmental impact, reduce environmental risk, and demonstrate their commitment on sustainability to their stakeholders. Here is the standard that provides a structured approach to develop an EMS, which includes several key steps. Number 1. Organizations must develop an environmental policy that outlines their commitment to environmental sustainability. This policy should be communicated to all employees and stakeholders. Number 2. Organizations must identify their environmental aspects and impacts. This involves identifying the activities, products, and services that have an impact on the environment, as well as the potential environmental consequences of those impacts. Number 3. Once the environmental aspects and the impacts have been identified, organizations must establish environmental objectives and targets. These objectives and targets should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Number 4. After setting objectives and targets, organizations must implement operational controls and establish monitoring and measurement systems to ensure that they are meeting their objectives and targets. Number 5. Finally, organizations must review and continually improve their EMS. This involves conducting regular audits, reviewing the EMS to ensure that it remains relevant and effective, and making any necessary changes and improvements. The main clauses of ISO 14001-2015. Apart from its scope, normative references, and terms and conditions, the main clauses of ISO 14001-2015 can be listed as context of the organization leadership, planning, support, operation, performance, evaluation, and improvement. Clause 4.0, Context of the organization, is about understanding the organization and its context, understanding the needs and expectations of the interested parties, determining the scope of the Environmental Management Systems EMS and Environmental Management System itself. Clause 5.0 talks about leadership and commitment, environmental policy, organization roles, responsibility and authorities. Clause 6.0 Planning focuses on actions to address risk and opportunities, as well as environmental objectives and planning to achieve them. Clause 7.0 Support are detailed requirements on resources, competence, awareness, communication that includes external and internal communication, documented information that involves creating, updating, and control of the documented information. Clause 8.0 Operation talks about operational planning and control, as well as emergency preparedness and response. Overall, the design of ISO 14001:2015 provides guidelines to form a system that is structured to cater the requirements of stakeholders' needs and expectations, to drive life cycle perspective and energy efficiency as pictured here. Clause 9.0 Performance Evaluation provides guidelines to monitoring, measurement analysis, and evaluation, compliance and management review. An additional note here is that ISO 19011:2018 guidelines for auditing management systems, which is an audit process that will determine the scope to establish the audit criteria by collecting evidence, evaluating the evidence, and hand draw a conclusion based on the findings as pictured here. Finally, Clause 10.0 Improvement talks about how improvement is an integral factor to an effective environmental management system through general nonconformity and corrective action and continual improvement. Talking about improvement, it is always continual in putting efforts towards the betterment of the existing systems. Here is a snapshot of the main clauses of ISO 14001:2015.